video will demonstrate how to properly install a 3-prong power cord on a Maytag dryer. Safety first, always unplug electrical appliances before servicing them. This is the back of the Maytag dryer, and it already has a 4-prong power cord on it, so we must first remove it before we can install the 3-prong. I'm using a 1/4-inch power tool to remove the terminal block cover screws. Just take those 2 screws off and remove the plate, and now you have access to the inside of the dryer, where the terminal block is located. Here are the wires you'll see with the 4-prong installation that need to be removed. And the first thing I'm going to do is use a 5/16 ratchet to remove the grounding screw. And this is holding the grounding wire to the body from the power cable on the 4-prong, so save it aside because we will need to reuse that screw. And then I'm going to go ahead and remove the terminal wires. There's a red, a white, and a black wire. And I'm going to use a 3/8 deep socket to remove the nut that's retaining the wire onto the terminal. And be very careful when reaching inside these machines because the edges around the opening are very sharp and will cut you very easily. Also, you want to be very careful not to drop any of these nuts down inside the machine, otherwise you'll be finding yourself having to take the machine apart to get to the nuts that have been dropped and to reuse them for the installation. So be very careful when removing them, not to cut yourself and not to drop them in the machine. Now once I've removed all 3 of these nuts, I'm going to set them aside. And I'm going to go ahead and just pop the wires up off of the terminal screws. I still can't remove the cable without taking the strain relief clamp apart. So I'm using a Phillips head screwdriver to remove the screws from the strain relief clamp. They're holding the wire in place, the 4-prong cable in place. And once I get those screws out, I'll be able to take the 2 halves of the strain relief clamp out of the opening there, and then the cable will just pull right out. Be careful when pulling the cable through also to make sure you don't cut any of the wires on any surfaces there in case you need to reuse them in the future. Here's the wiring diagram that's actually on the machine that shows you how a 3-prong is supposed to be installed. And we're going to go ahead and start. First we have to install the clamp, or actually strap. This is a grounding strap that goes from the neutral or the center terminal to the body. And if you don't have the old strap from when they installed the 4-prong, then you need to get one. The part number is 53-0965, and I have discovered that it is no longer available from the manufacturer, so you'll probably have a hard time coming up with it. You could also use a grounding wire that has 2 loop-in terminals on it, and then just put a wire from the middle terminal to the grounding spot on the dryer. Either way, you'll have to come up with a ground solution because you have to ground the neutral to the body when you're doing a 3-prong installation. If it's a new dryer, then it should already have the strap in place. And I had to take one more 3/8 nut off of that center terminal and removed it, and then I put the strap in place, and now I'm tightening back down this 3/8 nut. And then there's one more nut that was underneath that held the wires on from the machine to the terminal block location. Make sure that nut is tight before you put the strap and the strap nut back on. You want everything tight. So I'm going to tighten down the strap now. And once that strap is in place, that will accomplish the ground from the neutral terminal to the body of the machine to keep anyone from getting shocked if there were ever a short to develop somewhere in the system. It's very important to have this, so like I said, if you don't have the strap itself, you need to come up with some kind of a wire to go from the neutral terminal block location to the grounding location. Now I'm going to feed the 3 wires of this 3-wire power cable into the opening there. The middle one is the neutral. It'll say neutral on it usually, but you always want to make sure that the middle one goes on the middle terminal, which has a grounding strap on it already as well. And then the other 2 are your L1 and L2 wires, and they can go in either order as long as they're on the outside terminals. So one on top, one on bottom, those are the outside wires. The middle wire must go in the middle. Once I get them all positioned in place on the terminals, then I can go ahead and start installing the 3/8 nuts. And I want to go ahead and just get all three of them started so that it'll hold the wire from falling out. And then I can go back with the 3/8 socket and tighten them down. Again, I'm using a deep socket 3/8 so that it'll reach down past the terminal post, get it all the way down and tighten it. Tighten them pretty snug, but do be careful not to over tighten them so you don't damage them. And get all three of them tightened. And that'll have this grounding strap and the 3 wires from the 3-prong power cord all in place. And next we'll have to install, of course, is the the 2 halves of the clamp. Now this spring relief clamp is necessary. You definitely don't want to leave it off. The spring relief clamp prevents nicks and cuts on the power cable at the power cable opening from machine vibrations during use. Also, it prevents the cable wire at the terminal block from being pulled on if someone were to pull or put strain on the power cord itself. Hold the 2 pieces together. You have to feed the little tongues in and hold them together so that the holes will line up. And then feed the screw in through one into the other, and then use your Phillips head screwdriver to get the one started. Once you've got one side started, go ahead and start the other side before you clamp it all the way down. It'll make it a lot easier to get it started. Once you've clamped one side all the way down, if the other one hadn't been started yet, it's very difficult to get it to start, so kind of work back and forth on them until you get them all the way tight. Again, I work back and forth on them so that I get them down tightened evenly. And of course, this will put the cable very, very tightly in there, so no one will be able to cause damage by pulling on the power cable. The last thing to do, of course, is to reinstall the terminal cover block plate. And here's what it looks like. We have the L1 and L2 outside wires with the hot wires. The middle is the ground wire, and then that ground strap with the ground screw is in place as well. Just reinsert the tab of the terminal block cover plate and start the 2 1/4" screws. Once you get them started, you can go ahead and just tighten them down, and that will complete the installation of the 3-prong power cord on a Maytag dryer.